So what's up everybody, this is Jesse from VCC Board Repairs. Today we're going to do a video about an iPhone 6 Plus with a touch disease. So let's go ahead and get started. So I see there's already 9 viewers in the live stream, so that's good. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and get started with this repair. Let me switch cameras. So this is iPhone 6 Plus. It came in for Touch IC. Thing is, now that I'm testing it, it's working fine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyway, just because I've had many situations where they say it's having issues. You know, I get it and it works. I send it back, and then they have issues again. So 99% of the time, I just do the job anyway, and it solves it. Like any kind of ghost touching or like weird, you know, inconsistent touch, just doing the job anyway will solve it. I've had, you know, I do offer a warranty, so if there's any issues with touch, then they can send it back and I'll take another look. But you know, they claim they're having touch issues. It's a 6 Plus, known, like it's a huge problem with these models, so might as well just do it and kind of reassure them that it's going to be fixed. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get this classic Touch IC repair done. Alright, so let me take this board out. By the way, can you guys hear me? It looks like the mic is working. Just wanted to double check. See, there's an Andrew, there's Jason, Bain, Ivan. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining. Let me switch cameras over here. All right, cool. So this is the iPhone 6 Plus. If you don't know, this is a pretty common issue where let me switch over here. So there's a connection here on the Touch IC here on the back, where this connection underneath, which is called LCM to AP HIFA B sync, will disconnect. So the pad on the motherboard will disconnect from the trace. So what you got to do is basically take out the chip, add a jumper wire to reinforce it, and then you reball the chip, place the chip back, and then problem is solved. You don't have to replace the Meson chip, although sometimes the Meson chip goes bad in the process, so you know, sometimes you do replace it. For whatever reason on this for this repair, I probably maybe like 20% of the time I end up having to replace it just because the touch is being weird. So alright, so what I like to do here is put the board on the preheater. Oh, I see Breeze and Kuram have joined. Welcome to the live stream. Alright, so we got to get to the Touch IC, which is underneath this sticker. So what I do is while it's on the preheater, it softens the adhesive that the sticker is, you know, connected to the board. Alright, so I just kind of get that corner and then able to lift off most of it. Then using like a nickel, I will hold it out of the way like that. Let me adjust this camera. Alright, so you guys can see that. So this black chip right here is the Meson chip. If you notice, there's a black dot right here on the bottom left, so keep that in mind. One trick you can do to remember which orientation is going to go on, you know, after we remove it and put it back, is to scratch the board with a little note to yourself. So this is on this corner. So I'm just gonna mark. So there's nothing here on this part of the board, so I can mark a little X with my X-Acto blade. For this job, I don't do it just because I already memorized the position, but sometimes when you're doing like a random IC that you gotta pull, it just saves you so much time to just mark it. So when you come back to it, you have the indicator spot, you know, marked. So putting some flux on the chip, and if you guys can see, I'm at 365 with 65 air. So actually I'm gonna raise it up a little. I'm gonna go 380 and 75 air. So yeah. So I have my Iron Easy tweezers. I'm just gonna heat up the area, go in circles. I'm kind of at an angle, so I'm blowing the heat from like this corner down this way in that direction, and then just going in circles. Maybe another 10 seconds. A good clue is to look at the solder around the area to see if any of it has starts looking shiny, meaning the solder has flowed and the chip might be ready to go. Let me go ahead and check. Okay, as of right now, it's still solid, so I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna do a little smaller circles, a little closer. I think this is good now. Yep. Oops, I bumped this over here. So you guys can see where there's these capacitors, I think. There we go. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some flux. I'm gonna get my iron and run some solder over it. I'm basically getting rid of the old solder, the factory solder, and adding my own in a way. But really this process kind of picks up the old solder and flattens out the area you're working on. So just always be careful with your soldering iron, because the back of the iron can build up a blob of solder, and you could accidentally get it on the other components nearby. Alright, so I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and clean this. Some isopropyl alcohol and a kid's toothbrush. Let's soak it. The isopropyl alcohol does not damage the board, so you can use as much as you want. Then I'm going to use a little hand duster to blow away the alcohol and the flux. So the alcohol kind of softens the flux and kind of absorbs it. So when you blow it away, when you blow away the isopropyl alcohol, you kind of blow away the flux with it. So now you can see it's like perfectly clean-ish. Yeah, I'm using Amtech 559 ASM. Alright, you probably can't see it. Alright, so now it's time to do the jumper. So to do jumpers, I do it off the preheater, just because when it's on the preheater, it makes it a little more difficult to work with the jumper. It'll move easily, more easier, and we don't want that. Okay, where's my blade? Okay, so this is where we're gonna do the M1 jumper. So like I showed earlier, there's this connection here. So essentially we're gonna scratch out this trace, this line, versus 8B. I don't know what 8B means, but this line right here that goes to M1. So if you can see, there's there's the matching trace here. So using my X-Acto blade, I kind of just like put the blade down and I scratch to the right. Well, I guess up in this case. And I just gently do it until I start exposing the copper. You guys see that? You don't want to scratch outside of the trace because then in some cases you could expose some ground and then cause problems. But in this case, this area next to it is there's nothing. So, but right here is ground, not here. So, let me clean this off or scratch this out. So this you can't see it, but essentially here's where the issue is. There's like a weak spot right here, like literally across it. So oftentimes over time that like disconnects and you lose touch. So that's the trace we're gonna run a jumper for. I'm gonna put a little bit of flux, Amtech flux. Gonna get my micro pencil. So this is a smaller soldering iron. Where is it? And this thing wears out pretty quick. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is tin the trace. What that means is just kind of pre-solder some, basically add some solder to the area so it's easier to solder the wire to it. Alright, so something like that. I'm going to add a little more flux. Alright, next is jumper wire. So I keep a little piece of jumper wire underneath my mat. So if you look, I fold this up and then I find the piece of wire, and then I'm gonna, I know you guys can't see this, but just trust me, I have a little piece of wire here. So it's easy to find for, crap, doesn't pick up. Here it goes. Go back over here. There's a piece of wire. So I had my little storage spot underneath this mat. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here is see anything interesting in the chat? Nope. Alright, so I'm gonna put the wire. So I like to solder to the trace first and then the pad. So what I do is actually, oops, yeah. So I place it like that, and then I situate the board so my left hand is holding the wire in a straight line, and then I could easily hold it in place and solder the end of it to where I want it. So I just tap, like very quick tap. I don't know if you can see, but that wire is good. Oops. There you go. So what I've been doing recently, so I've kind of changed my technique over time. So as of right now, I solder the wire to follow the trace. Before I used to do like a little curve, so like kind of go like a little U kind of, but I don't know, I just feel like this is easier to do. Alright, so what I'm going to do is cut off the excess wire. So right here where it bends, I'm going to put my blade and like just press down gently. There you go. You can see the wire is attached to my blade. And then, as you can see, I will store it back under. So the excess wire, I must basically place it back underneath my mat. And there it's stored for future repairs. All right. All right, cool. So let me clean this up so you guys can see a little better. By the way, if you're watching, let me know what city you're in. I'm curious and where everyone is from. Let me clean this up. Oops. I dropped my bottles here. So I just keep blowing until I stop seeing the isopropyl alcohol like moving around. Cool. I see Texas, UK. That's pretty cool. All right, so there's my jumper. Oh, good morning, Roy. 7 a.m. Okay, so actually the last step is actually this ground pad right here. I'm gonna actually poke it off. It helps prevent this from soldering to each other. You guys see that? I just used my blade and plucked it off. So now I kind of there's some extra solder sticking up here, so I use my blade to flatten that out. That kind of gives me extra room to work with. I need some water. Anyways, so now I'm gonna use some UV mask. This is Amtech UV mask. It gets very dirty, so I have it with a little towel wrapped around at all times. So I unscrew the cap. Then what I do is I'll push out a little bit of UV from the bottom. It's like a green liquid. All right, so push some out, and then with my blade, here I'll show you on the camera. So with my blade, I'll just like scoop up a little bit like that, and a little more. Put this off to the side. And then now that I have some on the tip of my blade, I will use my tweezer to apply it to the location. So I'm gonna put it here on this side, because if I put it on the upper side, the chip, it might be a little too elevated, the UV mask, and it'll get in the way. So I want to just put a very little on the upper side. The goal is to have this fluid. So after I put some UV light to it, the fluid will turn into a solid, and it'll hold the jumper wire. It'll prevent it from moving around. All right. So next step, get my UV glasses. I'm gonna cure this UV. So I have a little laser. So I'm gonna hit it with the. So I use the UV glasses because this stuff can, blind you if you look at it for too long. But it also depends on the intensity of the UV light. But I'd rather not take any chances. So maybe this should be maybe good enough. Yeah, that looks pretty solid. All right. Safety first. That's what I've been told. All right, so clean off my tweezers. So I use the little rag I have with the UV to clean. You can see my thing is like full of the UV stuff that gets everywhere. I hate it. Alright, so I wrap this around and put it away. My blade was also cleaned. I probably didn't show it. Alright, so now the board is prepped and ready for the Meson chip. So I will actually reuse the same chip, and what I'm going to do is reball it. That means is redo the solder balls on it so I can place it back and it's even. So yeah, this repairs, I don't know, people have been doing it since what, 2016 maybe, 2017? Well, probably before that. And I'm still surprised when I get, like this board appears to be like a virgin board. No one's ever attempted the Touch IC. Since this phone's been out for so long and this issue is very popular, so many times, you know, when you get it, somebody else had already tried to fix it but didn't do it right. They either didn't do the jumper, or they did the jumper wrong or something. But yeah, it's still, I think this phone came out in 2014, the 6 Plus, and yeah, people still use them. They still pay, you know, full price for the Touch IC. So you know, I don't question them. If they want their phone fixed, I'll fix it. So currently we charge $100 for Touch IC for end users and $70 for repair shops. So B2B. Let me find the stencil. Yeah, so this is my stencil. It's a Kian Lee Gold iPhone 6 stencil. So keep in mind, iPhone 6 and 6 Plus use all the same chips within each other, so the stencils will be the same. So what you do is put the chip in there. I have some solder paste that I already had from previous jobs. So I'm going to press down and go to the right. Essentially, I'm spreading the paste into the little squares, and the goal is to fill it up with this mixture of flux and solder. And what happens is it creates the same volume of solder paste within those squares. So if you saw, I kind of scraped it and flattened it out. And with my with the little clean cloth, I'll wipe it away, so it's like a clean area you're working on. And then I will go to 330 and 35 air. So 330 Celsius, 35 air. What I'll do is just go in circles. The goal is here to warm up the stencil. You don't want to have a hot spot and have the stencil warp. You know, this is like a little thin piece of metal, so I can see the flux kind of bubbling. So I will just go low on this bottom end, and then just kind of move in closer. There you go. And while it's still hot, I will slowly release my hand from lift up the tweezers, and then while it's still hot, poke the chip through the stencil. You guys see that? Alright, so let me put the chip out of the way for 1 second, because you want to do multiple things while it's still hot, because it's the best time to clean it as well. So isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush, a little kid's toothbrush. Actually, I got these at Walmart. It was a 5-pack for 99 cents. So it's a pretty good deal. If you try to buy it on Amazon, they're like $5 for the 5-pack. Maybe a little more, $8.99. I don't remember. But one time I did order the ones from Amazon just because I didn't want to go to Walmart. So, alright, so as you can see, this is now clean for the next time I use this. You don't want to leave this all dirty and then have to deal with really hard flux. Alright, let me move that out of the way. Let me bring the chip back. So let me clean this. Type a 7 in the chat if you're still watching. Just curious who's sticking around to the end. Alright, so what I'm doing here is cleaning up the bottom side of the chip. So just isopropyl alcohol and toothbrush. Then I'm going to hold it and like blow away the excess alcohol. Cool, I see Chewy is still on here. Thanks for sticking around. Alright, so if you can see, the solder balls on the chip are pretty even. There's no like weird deformed ones or anything like that. It's kind of hard to show this on camera. Alright, but yeah, chip is ready to go. I see Andrew doesn't know how to follow directions. Just kidding. Alright, cool. So I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the chip and then just kind of lift it up and then just flow just one more time to make sure they're even. Probably hard to see, but all the solder on the chip has. Alright, cool. I got the stencil from mobilecentrics.com. They have a lot of microsoldering tools and chips and stuff like that. Alright, so put some flux on the board. And if you remember, I put that little scratch down here on the board, and here's the dot, so I know this is the right direction. Alright, so the trick here is to press down so it's kind of sitting as flat as possible. And also you got to align this. So what I've learned or kind of figured out is that this side, right side of the chip, lines up with this chip, so it's like a straight line almost. There's usually like a little gap here. And then also if you were to push down here, you kind of feel where the M1 ball on the chip hits the jumper here. So you could kind of sometimes, hold on, how did I do it last time? Alright, hold on guys, I see a lot of questions. Let me, yeah, here we go. So I could feel there's some resistance, like trying to push it down, so I know the chip is aligned ish, I hope. Yeah, so that should be good enough. It'll adjust itself with the hot air. Alright, so let me start off really low. So the same temperature I used for reballing, I'm going to warm this up. So I'm gonna go from the top, from this view, the top, and kind of blow it downwards. So the air is coming down like at an angle. Kind of hard to see from the cameras. The goal here is to kind of spread the flux around. There's kind of a lot of flux too, so it helps spread the flux without messing up anything yet. So I'm just going in circles. You can see like the flux bubbling, not bubbling, but kind of pulsing. Oh, there you go. Actually, I saw the chip move. So I think this temperature is enough to melt the solder. Alright, so what I'm going to do is kind of bump the chip a little bit. It's kind of hard to do because I'll hold my breath to get like that steady hand and just like bump it just a little bit, just like so. Cool. Let's let this cool down for a second. I see what main camera are you using to video and software. So I have a bunch of cameras. There's a microscope camera. I just got this on eBay. It's 1080p microscope camera. I think any microscope camera will work. Then I have a bunch of other random cameras. I'll probably post those on my website one day. And the software I'm using, Open Broadcaster, it lets you set up different scenes, like you can see here. And then micropencil, it is I'm using a Hakko FM 203 station. I'm using a Hakko FM 2032 iron and the Hakko J-tip, micropencil J-tip. I think it's, let me check. So in the description of this video, I have my website, vccboardrepairs.com/gear. This is my recommended tools. Let's see. So I have it here. Yeah, Hakko Micro Tip J Angled. Here, let me post it. If you want to see like some other tools I use, go here. Alright, cool. So this should be cooled down. I'll go ahead and clean it. Here's 14 viewers. Oh, 12 now. So you're still here. Let me know what time it is in your city. Also, let me know if you're watching this on a replay. So you're not here live right now on Saturday, 11:13 p.m. Pacific, but it's like some other day into the future. Yeah, so there's no real way to know if this is installed right other than use all the other components to see if there's any, to see your alignment. So you can see here on the top, the space between the capacitors and the chip is the same across. So like all the spacing is even on each side. Well, there's no real reference, but you can see this line up here kind of corresponds with this. So it's pretty, I would say it's good. So now the question is, will this work? Like I said in the beginning, sometimes on Touch IC I'll still have weird touch issues. So, you know, in those cases, I'll just pull the chip and get a new one installed. So let me install this. So the goal here is just to test. So I'm not going to plug in everything. Just like the power button, the charging ports, and the screen. And then at the very end, the battery. Battery is always the last thing you want to plug in. I should probably do these a little earlier because I see a lot of you guys 1 a.m., 2 a.m. It's 9 a.m. in Europe, Cyprus. All right. So I hope I don't embarrass myself here live and see some weird issue. But maybe you guys can learn from my mistakes. Crap, this antenna cable's in the way. Okay, so just the bare minimum. I like to plug in a phone to charge to prompt to boot. Okay, so you can see there's no weird lines, so that's good. And now we are going to wait for the home screen. Since this phone is on the hello screen, I guess the customer restored it before they sent it to me, and I don't have the iCloud info, so I can't do any further testing other than touch. Yeah, I mean, whatever I could do on the home screen is all I can do. So let's see. By the way, this camera here from the top view is a new camera and a new stand, so I like the placement. All right, so let's see. All right, touch so far is working. I'm trying to, yeah, I mean, kind of difficult. There's nothing to test here. Alright, so as you can see, I could move left to right. Actually, the sticker here is in my way. Alright, you know what? Let me just peel this off. So you can, oh. I don't have the password, so I can't do any further testing than what you're looking at now. So yeah, touch is working as far as I can tell. You can see no matter where on the screen, I can still move all this. So if there was any issues, it would like drop like that in a certain spot, but it's not. So I can do this. So I have the keyboard, so I could touch each letter, Q, W, E, R, T, Y. So now the phone is has the Touch IC job done, and you know, we could be assured that they won't have any touch issues. My guess is that, you know, when they had it, it was either sporadic touch issues or you know, ghost touching or just weird touch issues. Let me see if I can put this back on. Like putting on a screen protector. Oh, good enough. So there you have it. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you guys check out the links in the description. I have recommended tools. I am part of a microsoldering course, the ProFixer 90-day microsoldering program, where we work with you for 90 days. You know, we have multiple calls a week doing, you know, walkthroughs and discussions on microsoldering. So if you're interested, check out the link in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching. Share the video if you can, and we'll see you probably sometime next week. Peace out.